Winter Storm Landon is moving through the central U.S. today, so we are moving on to the next phase, the northeast phase of this storm. If you need any information on the central part of this storm, I have 2 videos linked in the cards above for all of your information. You can click up there. So, we are moving on to the northeast, and what are 2 words that don't go well together? Northeast and ice. And sadly, that's what we're looking at here, and potentially a lot of ice. The Northeast is in the perfect situation to just get a lot of ice in very populated areas. So, throughout the day on Wednesday, some rain starting to filter into parts of the region, and then maybe a little bit of freezing rain early Thursday morning in parts of central Pennsylvania. Now, parts of northern New York and northern New England will be primarily snow, which is a good thing for them. They don't have to worry about any of this wintry mess, but some of these areas could even see a foot plus of snowfall, especially areas of northern New York and northern New England. Areas south of there could also see some snow, but that will be in lesser amounts. But now, moving into Thursday afternoon and evening, we start to see this pink and purple filter in. That is snow in the blue, sleet in purple, freezing rain in red-ish, pinkish, but that will be spreading quickly. You can see in Ohio, heavy freezing rain. This all moves into the northeast as the low pressure moves through. It'll be moving through overland, so you really don't have to worry about any intensification off the coast. But on the back end, watch this back end here that it starts to filter in, because this low pressure, you can see that it's going to be close to the Atlantic or even over the Atlantic, and can build in some Atlantic and Gulf moisture, as some of these more frontal systems, which is what this low pressure will be at this point, typically do. And on that back end, you can see areas such as New York City getting close, Boston, as well as maybe Philadelphia is a little bit too far east, but then you definitely can consider areas in central Pennsylvania in that moderate freezing rain. Now, since this is a frontal system, it could be moving pretty slowly, and then we start to see, since we kind of get that filtration of that warm, moist air into the cold that just came through with that front, we're starting to see some snow on the back end as well. So we just have this overall wintry mess, and now we start to see Philadelphia get involved. We see Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, maybe even DC, all in a wintry mess of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. Now, the snow gets as far south as Philadelphia, but the main snow totals for the northeast corridor will be around Boston. Boston could see 3 to 6 inches. At the moment, we have been seeing this start to show up on the more accurate models, such as the NAM here, but generally 0 to 3 inches for most of southern parts of New England and the I-95 corridor in general. So, in terms of those snowfall totals, obviously we have our main snowmaker here, but let's zoom in, shall we? So, we have the northeast here, and you can see that the northern tier of the northeast, such as areas by Buffalo, Watertown, Burlington, even into Caribou, we'll be seeing at least 6 inches is a definite, maybe even a foot or a foot plus in some spots, such as Buffalo, where you could be seeing close to a foot and a half. But in terms of the I-95 corridor, right, you have DC getting nothing, Baltimore getting nothing, Philadelphia getting maybe a dusting, New York, you're right on the fringe at about an inch, but then you get into parts of southern New York, southern upstate New York, parts of northeast Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey, most of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, getting at least maybe an inch in most spots. Then you have this strip here of 3 to 6, where you could see those areas on the back end starting off as more snow. This includes areas north of Boston, such as Portsmouth, New Hampshire, maybe Worcester, Massachusetts, Springfield, Massachusetts, the northwest corner of Connecticut, parts north of Westchester in New York. So we could be seeing areas like that in that strip there get 3 to 6. But the main event here is ice. And we can see that ice is a huge deal for this storm in general, but as we zoom into the northeast, it's not as much of a accumulation concern as a location concern. So in terms of the I-95 corridor, let's go through. DC, 1/10 of an inch. That's already significant. Baltimore, a 1/2 inch of ice, which is extremely significant. Philadelphia, 1/10 of an inch. New York, a 1/2 inch of ice. That will shut down. In terms of the jackpot for this icing event, not in terms of accumulation. In terms of accumulation, right now it's showing Cape Cod. But in terms of impacts, is the New York City metro area. This includes Long Island, New York City proper, Northeast New Jersey, Southwest Connecticut, and then parts of southern upstate New York. That's where you're going to see not only the accumulation, but the impacts on the roads, power lines, all that stuff. The typical, 1/4 of an inch of ice equates to 500 pounds of extra weight on every single power line. That's the standard here. But you also have, we haven't gone over timing, but it looks like, especially in the New York City metro area, that this is going to be happening during rush hour Friday morning. And by the time you get out of work Friday evening, there could be a complete wintry mess everywhere. Not just in, a few spots where it could be slick. This is widespread, detrimental wintry impacts in the most populated area of the country, single city. But overall, then you move into Boston, where they could see close to, they're like right on the line there. I'd give them a 1/10 of an inch at the moment. But this general area, this I-95 corridor, the most populated area of the U.S., could be seeing significant icing from this storm, just because of the timing, Thursday night into Friday morning, the effect of that track, the low pressure being a little bit further south than before, bringing in that Atlantic moisture, as well as that cold front bringing in the cold air, and just the accretion amounts that we've been seeing from this entire storm, and areas such as over here by southeast of Cincinnati could see 1.5 inches potentially of ice. So it's not an uncommon thing to see. Now, in terms of my potential scenarios, the NAM and the Euro are going with this. So the blue here is mostly snow. Some freezing rain and sleet may mix in. This purple here is a sloshy mess of mostly sleet, freezing rain, and rain. Then you have this pink area, which is a wintry disaster of mostly freezing rain, sleet, and rain. And then we have seen some snow filter in here as well as the purple area. I just haven't included that because we're mostly talking about the wintry impacts. Snow in terms of these areas is pretty, the Northeast isn't a stranger to snow, but high freezing rain amounts, we don't get that as often in the Northeast as we would in, let's say, Kentucky or Tennessee, where they are getting that Gulf moisture and that cold air coming in at the same time, and then they get like inches of freezing rain. Then you have the coastal areas, which could see mostly rain with limited wintry precipitation. The second scenario, which is the GFS, which is mostly snow here in this blue. Then in pink, this wintry mess of heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain, which is now what the models are trending towards. Then you've pink, mostly freezing rain, sleet, but limited snow. And then down here in the purple, all wintry precipitation / rain, no snow. So those are the potential scenarios for now. I fully expect this to change tomorrow, but stay tuned here. I will be continuing to make updates on this storm until it passes. But that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.